Hello there, very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1. On behalf of the News First, the voice of the people, I'm Martin Satyanesan. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this afternoon.
Period of 35 years.
මේක බොරුවක් කරන්නේ මම ඔබතුමාට කියන මෙතුමා මේක සභාව නොමග යවන්න එපා. මොකද ඒ ගිවිසුම අවබෝධතා ගිවිසුමක් MOU එකක් විතරක් අත්සන් කරා.
Ceylon Petroleum Corporation to enter the gas market. Teachers blame government over unresolved demands. MP Buddhika Patrana outlines way of paying teachers' salaries.
සිගරට්ටුවක මිල රුපියල් 20කින් වැඩි කරමු. ඔබතුමාගේ යෝජනා වැදගත් වෙයි අපේ මුදල් ඇමතුමාට. අපි ඒක එතුමාට යොමු කරමු.
Now those stories in detail. Health officials say they aren't satisfied with the rate of COVID-19 cases and deaths in Sri Lanka. The Deputy Director General of Health Services expressed these views at a media briefing this morning.
තවමත් රෝගීන් සංඛ්‍යාව 500 ඉක්මවල 700 ගාණක් වාර්තා වෙනවා.
The number of daily cases stands at around 700. Around 40 deaths are also being reported in a day. We can't be satisfied with this situation. We wish to stress that we mustn't create room to return to the dangerous situation we were in. If we do something wrong and allow the disease to spread, we will see its result after a couple of weeks. By that time, we wouldn't remember the mistakes we did. If people are trying to force the country into a lockdown, I believe that they are endangering the lives of all people.
කවුරු හරි ඒ සඳහා සැලසුම් සහගතව හෝ ඉදිරිපත් වෙනවා නම් ඒ සඳහා යොමු වෙනවා නම් මං හිතනවා රටේම ඉන්න මේ ජනතාවට කරන බරපතල හානියක් කියලා.
In a headline-making story, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has instructed to investigate the findings in the Pandora Papers. The Bribery and Corruption Commission has been asked to submit a report in a month's time.
The President instructed the chairman of the Bribery and Corruption Commission this morning to investigate and submit a report in a month on all Sri Lankans and their dealings that were mentioned in the Pandora Papers that stirred controversy globally recently.
අද උදෑසන අල්ලස් හෝ දූෂණ විමර්ශන කොමිෂන් සභාවේ සභාපතිවරයා වෙත නියෝග කළා.
The President has taken a swift decision on this. He has instructed the Director General of the Bribery and Corruption Commission to investigate matters about Sri Lanka and submit a report in a month. This was also discussed during yesterday's cabinet meeting chaired by the Prime Minister. The leaked papers don't mention any politicians in the Sri Lankan government.
ආණ්ඩුව නියෝජනය කරන කිසිදු දේශපාලඥයෙක්ට මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඇඟිලි දිගු වෙලා නැති බව.
Businessman Thirukumar Nadesan, the husband of former Sri Lankan Deputy Minister Nirupama Rajapaksa, embroiled in the Pandora Papers scandal, in a letter to the President said that both he and his wife are innocent and guilty of no wrongdoings.
In a letter, Thirukumar Nadesan said, quote, "My name and that of my wife has been referred to as having various accounts/assets offshore. These references are in what is referred to as the Pandora Papers," unquote. He added, and I quote, "It is commonly believed that all persons whose names have been so divulged are in some way guilty of wrongdoing," unquote. Nadesan has requested the President to appoint an independent investigator, preferably a retired appellate judge, to investigate this matter without delay so that his name and that of his wife would be cleared.
The world's largest container ship, the Ever Ace, arrived in Colombo for the first time earlier this morning.
Ever Ace container vessel, the world's largest container vessel. Built and modified by Samsung Heavy Metal Industries in South Korea, the Ever Ace is 400 meters in length and 61.5 meters in width, and it can carry up to 23,992. The Colombo port, which is regarded as one of the world's most facilitated and busiest ports, is also the only port in South Asia that can facilitate these type of vessels. The Ever Ace is scheduled to leave Colombo port tonight.
In your weather update this afternoon, the irrigation department says minor floods are expected in several areas due to heavy rains. It also noted that the water levels of several rivers are also expected to increase.
Water levels in the upper portion of the Nilwala River are nearing spill levels. The Panadugama area along the Akurasa Pitabadra road was inundated this morning. Tihagoda, Athuraliya, Malimbada, Sultanagoda and Kadua are facing a threat of minor floods. The water level of the Gin River has risen due to heavy rains. Hammaliya, Unanvitiya, Pathavalvitiya, Mulkada, Navakkada, Bambarahikada areas situated on either side of the Ging River are inundated. Traffic in Paragoda along the Bulatsingala Molkava road was disrupted as water overflowed into the roads from rivers. A portion of the Gamagoda bridge in Udugama Gol has sunk. Our correspondent reported that the bridge is in a dilapidated state. Three sluice gates of the Polgola Reservoir was opened due to heavy rains in Kandy.
When will the supply of milk powder finally satisfy demand in the local market? Journalists questioned this at the Cabinet Media Briefing today.
The Prime Minister directed authorities to release stocks of essential items including milk powder that are stationary at the Colombo port. However, we do not see any progress on that because queues can be witnessed island-wide to purchase milk powder.
The central bank governor announced yesterday that $50 million were released for that purpose. This was done to assist parties who were unable to pay their international suppliers. By the end of the day and tomorrow, the process of unloading those items will be conducted. The Minister of Finance and importers of milk powders will also hold discussions simultaneously to ensure such disruption do not occur in the future.
World Teachers' Day is celebrated in Sri Lanka today. News First files this report.
The theme of this year's Teachers' Day is Teachers at the Heart of Education Recovery. The World Teachers' Day was first declared by the education arm of the United Nations called UNESCO. It was celebrated for the first time in Sri Lanka on the 6th of October 1994. The future of children largely depends on teachers. Accordingly, teachers are considered to be at the center of a country's social and economic development. This would help children to overcome challenges in their studies.
මඩ කඩිති වැවුතාවල වැහි කාලේ පෙන්නා මග නොමග නොවැටි යන තාලේ සිප් කිරිතෙවූ මූසිලයින් උඩුමාලේ අපේ ගුරුතුමායයි
The prices of cigarettes has not been hiked since 2019. If the prices of a cigarette is increased by 20 rupees, the treasury would collect an extra revenue of 50 billion rupees annually. In that case, 100 billion could have been collected in 2020 and 2021. It is said only 55 billion rupees is required annually to do away the teacher and principal salary anomalies. The government has to only fund an extra 5 billion rupees. All this can be done by increasing the price of a cigarette by 20 rupees. No one will complain. 55 people die due to tobacco use daily and 20,000 die annually. It is not only an issue related to funding. The reason why this has not been resolved by successive governments is because they have to ensure other sectors do not face an injustice through resolving this. The ministry has given an assurance to teachers and trade unions that this matter will be considered when preparing this year's budget and the anomalies will be resolved in a phased manner. Your proposal might benefit our Ministry of Finance. Increasing government revenue through raising the tobacco tax is also a very interesting proposition.
The medical lightan, එතෙන්දී මුදල් සොයා ගන්න එක පහසුයි. ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. අපි ඒක එතුමාට යොමු කරමු.
The teaching fraternity is usually rewarded and lauded by students on Teachers' Day. However, this year, teachers and principals in the country have taken to the streets. Teachers representing 312 education zones across the island engaged in demonstrations demanding their salary anomalies to be resolved. The key protest of the string of demonstrations was held at the Lipton roundabout with the participation of key figures representing the National Collective Against Teachers and Principals' Salary Anomalies.
Today is the 87th day of our struggle. The government has failed to provide any sort of resolution. The theme of this year's Teachers' Day is Teachers at the Heart of Education Recovery. But plans are afoot to reopen schools on the 21st without resolving the issues of teachers. The leaders of our nation must be culpable for forcing teachers onto the streets once more. The government is making a grave mistake if it believes we can be intimidated through suppression. Leaders of the nation must be held responsible for the detriment caused to students by remaining silent on this matter.
Teachers' protests were organised in multiple areas today, including Rambukkana, Galgamua, Habaradua and Gaul. Teachers and principals engaged in demonstrations in Anuradhapura today, adhering to strict health regulations. Venerable Ulapane Sumangala Thero also supported the protests by waving black flags.
Instead of publishing meaningless posts on extending gratitude to teachers, work towards granting a sustainable solution towards the matter. We urge the government to do this as the National Collective Against Teacher and Principals' Salary Anomalies.
Meanwhile, Chief Opposition Whip Lakshman Kiriyalla has raised concerns on the statement made by the Energy Minister on the Trincomalee oil tank farm.
You said all oil tanks in Trincomalee have been given to India. That is wrong. There are 100 oil tanks, 15 of them to the IOC. The remaining tanks are to be developed together by us and India. That did not happen. We haven't developed them jointly with India. Don't provide wrong information. A memorandum of understanding was signed to reach an agreement in 6 months. But Minister Uday Gammampila, we didn't enter into an agreement after 6 months. As a result, the LIOC has kept it with them illegally. But that didn't happen. In 2005, you came to power promising that it will be brought under you, but that did not happen for 10 years. In addition to that, you allowed the LIOC to establish a production unit for lubricant oil. This could have been reacquired at any time, but you did not reacquire it for 10 years. You won't reacquire it now either. I am asking whether you will reacquire it or not, so give me an answer. Honorable Speaker, I am telling you the remaining 85 tanks have not been given to India. It is for joint development. That is what I am referring to. You are telling us that there is an agreement. Table it and reveal to the people. Then we will accept it. During my speech, I will table this agreement in Parliament. I also challenge them to table the MOU they were referring to. State Minister Susil Premajayantha attended a program on TV yesterday and revealed the truth. Minister Udegam Mampila is lying. Please tell me if that memorandum of understanding contains a clause that you should enter into a permanent agreement within 6 months. It does not refer to a permanent agreement. It's a lease agreement. The agreement has been signed because the lease agreement was not signed. There is no point in arguing further. I will table the official agreement today in Parliament.
The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation is to enter the gas market as the third competitor.
Energy Minister Uday Gamambila had submitted a cabinet paper for the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation to enter the LNG power market. The Sapogaskanda refinery of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation is currently producing between 70 and 90 metric tons of LP gas daily. That is about 5 to 6% of the country's total power requirement. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation also hopes to conduct a feasibility study to establish a new refinery to produce 10,000 barrels daily and to upgrade the existing facility. We have identified the importance of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation entering the gas market as a third market. Therefore, cabinet approval has been granted for the Energy Minister's proposal to establish an institution affiliated with the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation to enter the LNG industry.
Many downtrodden areas in our country fall prey to wild elephants each night. Residents of such areas spend sleepless nights engaging in mostly futile attempts to contact their local wildlife office. But the times wildlife officers pay attention to their woes is few and far between.
This sight is common during most mornings in the Gurugodalla village in Madirikiriya. Wild elephants which encroach on the village at nightfall roam back to the Somavatiya reserve only at the crack of dawn. Although this may serve as a magnificent sight for us, those in rural Sri Lanka tremble in fear at this sight. Wild elephants encroach on villagers to satisfy their hunger, but unfortunately leave a trail of destruction in the process. Residents remain hopeful that authorities will take steps necessary to ensure someday both humans and elephants can coexist in peace. A large herd of wild elephants faced a great obstacle this morning. The herd, which encroached on villagers from the Tekavatta reserve in Amanpola, were unable to head back to the forest since an electric fence was in their way. None of the elephants succeeded in collapsing the electric fence either. The herd was forced to remain on the main road until the matriarch named Nattakota finally managed to remove the electric fence. Traffic flow along the Kurunagala-Anuradhapura main road was also heavily disrupted as a result.
Now, journalists questioned the cabinet spokesperson on a letter sent by the Chinese ambassador to the agriculture minister recently.
It is said that the Chinese ambassador had written to the agriculture minister expressing displeasure over the move to halt fertilizer imports from China. Is there a problem like this? Has a letter been sent?
The letter says that some media reports on the decision to reject organic fertilizer stocks with harmful bacteria can affect the friendship between Sri Lanka and China. Therefore, they have requested us to be sensitive on such matters. It doesn't affect ties between the two countries.
Tea is Sri Lanka's main export crop and a vital source of foreign revenue. But planters say the fertilizer shortage is troubling their industry.
Tea planting is the lifeblood of those in Deniaya, Kirivaldola, Bateyaya, Hingurahena and Dehigampala in Mathara. They support their families and sustain their lives from a pittance earned through tea planting. However, they have now been rendered helpless due to an acute shortage of fertilizer.
It has been 1 year since the crops were planted. We do not have fertilizer to apply. We cannot even settle our bank loans. Our plants have turned yellow. If this was a retail store, we could have closed it down. We cannot shut it down like that. Organic fertilizer is available, but it is not of a good standard. Some planters say their plantation have been destroyed. That is an organic plantation. As we know, tea planting cannot be done using organic fertilizer.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Lunchtime News on TV1. For details of the stories and much more, simply log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk. For the News First, the voice of the people, I am Martin Satyanesan. You take care and stay safe.